Here we have our lovely 2011 Chevy Express, and today we're going to be looking at some of the component locations and sensor locations, stuff like that. So first off, it's a 2011. That's the information there, and the VIN, there's a VIN plate up there, or on the door panel. I'll put a picture of that in so you can see it better. Data link connector is right there under the dash. The fuel pump is going to be in the fuel tank, so we can't see that, as well as the fuel filter. Here I am underneath the hood. Right down here, if you look, the fuse block is there, and the PCM is this giant mess of wires that's supposed to be mounted right over there on the firewall, on the fender, sorry. What we're looking for in that fuse block is this number 38 relay, that's the fuel pump relay, and then number 78 fuse, that's the PCM fuse. So that is this relay here, and that little 10 amp fuse second to the end in the bottom corner down there. Also under the hood, you can see the mass airflow sensor, which has the intake air temperature sensor built into it. And also, you can see the throttle actuator is this piece back here, and that has the throttle position sensor and the idle air control valve built into it. Back inside the truck now, you can see this piece that the throttle pedal is mounted to. That's the accelerator pedal position switch. And then back on the engine, you can see right here is your oil pressure switch. On the very top, it's kind of hard to see, is the map sensor right there, that connector. On either side, you have your fuel rail here with injectors along the bottom. That side's your feed side, and then here it's right there, and then behind right there is your fuel pressure test point. On the left side of the engine, you can see, well, maybe you can see right there, that sensor is the coolant temperature sensor. And underneath this intake manifold, you can't see it, but I promise it's there, is the NOx sensor, this exhaust manifold. Here you're looking at the bottom of the engine from underneath. Right there is the crankshaft position sensor connector, and then above it, you can't see, well, maybe a little bit, on the front of the timing cover is the plate for the cam position sensor that is mounted to the front of the timing cover. Back inside, I believe under that valley cover there is the EGR cooler and system. But other than that, that's all the sensors on here. I believe I forgot to mention this is an L20 engine RPO. It's a 4.8 liter Gen 4 with VVT and flex fuel. So there's that for all you LS guys. Over here we have the OBD2 port. I think I already pointed that out, but let's go ahead and get a scan tool hooked up to that and get a meter and check, see what kind of voltage we have at those pins. So here we are in the driver's footwell, and here's the data link connector. So I'm going to see which pins have power to them. This is with the ignition on. First pin. Second pin. Third pin also has no voltage. Fourth pin, that's no voltage. Fifth pin. Thing. 6. has 2.7 volts. 7 has nothing. 8 also has nothing on the bottom row. That one has 12 volts. 10, nothing. 11 has 2.3 volts. 12, 0, 0, 0, and last one also has 0. Okay, now I'm in the van. I'm going to show you, we have the scanner hooked up to the AUT2 port, and here is the menu that we've scanned. So first things first, came up with 3 codes for the ECM, so we'll go ahead and click on that. Let's look at all our information. So first off, here's your module information. And that shows you VIN. You can see other VIN information down here at the bottom. Next you can see the data stream over here. So if you click on all the data here, it'll show you. So here's everything here. It's got all the parameters for live data if the engine was running, which it's not. Get out of that. Also, here's your monitors. So you can see it just ran for a second a minute ago, so it hasn't been able to do all its tests except for that one there. So I'll get out of that. Trouble codes are over here, so if you click on that, it will pull up. Here's the codes we have. So these two are for the generator, alternator, and then this one because the fuel system did not have time to run the test. So, you know, you can look at freeze frame for that. So you can see coolant temperature was cold, engine idle speed, where to go. Anyway, engine idling. So other than that, you can see all the monitors. If there were any pending codes, they'd be under fault codes. Otherwise, you have special functions. These might be vehicle specific, so you have different resets and learning procedures. And then some more actuation tests over here. Got the Autel hooked up and we're already logged into it. So to view the PIDs, I'm going to go to live data, and then we're just going to look at emissions stuff here. So here's everything it shows. It shows fuel trims, evap equipment, emissions stuff, brake pedal position, engine oil pressure. So here you can see it's at 95 degrees, so it's pretty cold still. So I'll go ahead and start it up. Now it's running. You can see the idle speed, 1100 RPM. closed loop. It just went to closed loop. Short-term fuel trims. Long-term fuel trims are from when I started it up a minute ago. Right now you can see the engine speed at the bottom, and you can see the other parameters. You can see mass airflow, manifold pressure. You can see barometric pressure versus intake manifold pressure. So this is lower because obviously it's running. There's a vacuum in the intake manifold. Watch as I hit the gas. The RPM increases and the pressure will change too. And then when you let off the gas, the pressure comes back up. So now I'm going to find the map sensor, which on the engine is that sensor right there at the top. And on the scan tool, you go to data stream, engine data, and then here's your map sensor, so we'll select that, pull up the data for it. So as you can see, it is reading data. If I disconnect it, it's disconnected. Now it's not reading any data. So now we're going to go up under here and measure the voltage at the connector for the map sensor. So here's the connector. On the right is the gray wire, that's your power, 5-volt ref. In the middle, your orange wire, that's the ground. And then on the left, your green wire is the signal. So between gray and orange, we should have 5 volts. So I'll plug that in. Obviously the meter's reading 0 right now. And if I plug it in, it reads 5 volts. So that's good. We have power to the sensor. And then if I plug it into the other side, into the green wire, there should be no voltage. So as you can see, there's no voltage on the meter. So that means the sensor is good. It's getting the correct power. So it should be sending a good signal as long as it's a good sensor and a good reading. And on the screen over here, if you look, I have a couple parameters pulled up: engine speed, loop status, map sensor data, and then I just put fuel trims on there too. So the map sensor is not reading any data because it's not connected. Right now it's in open loop. You check engine light will go off. I just clear the codes. So now let's see if it will start with the sensor disconnected. So it did start. There's no data from the map sensor. And it just closed the loop. So you can see fuel trim readings. But the map sensor is still not reading any data because it's unhooked. I'll go ahead and turn it off. And then let's see if it came up with the code. It didn't. So that's a PO107. This code was already there, the 621. PO107 is for map sensor circuit low voltage because the map sensor is disconnected. But it did still close the loop.